PowerBroadcastMedia.com Chicago.
And around the world where your voice is heard. This is UBM Talk.
Reverend Dr. Leon Finney, CEO of the Woodlawn Community Development Corporation, on the benefits of nuclear energy and the potential cost of Illinois nuclear plant closures.
I've been a long time proponent of energy. I think that the real issue always is the fact that this energy is efficient and is cost effective. Should we lose any of the nuclear plants, there are jobs lost to our economy. To lose 8,000 jobs would be devastating. Instances, that's enough jobs to take a community up or take a community down. Not only do I want to make sure low-cost energy, but also want to protect the environment for myself and my family and my grandkids.
Dr. Finney on the Illinois Low Carbon Portfolio Standard.
Right now, there are bills pending in spring could protect this energy. I would have to argue strongly that we must do all that we can to make sure those are not only passed, but signed into law.
Join Dr. Finney and support the Illinois Low Carbon Portfolio Standard at nuclearpowersillinois.com.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zoe. I'm the host of the Hearts of Men Intimate Talk Hour, heard every Saturday at 5 o'clock on UBM Talk. This hour is designed to inspire, reclaim, encourage, and most of all, deliver the hurting hearts of all men. Email us at theheartsofmen@gmail.com. And don't forget, follow us every Saturday at 5 p.m. on UBM Talk.
Presents The Music is Business Show with me, Maurice Alexander.
And me, Constance Branch. We'll discuss relevant and timely topics regarding the music business industry with musicians and attorneys to music distributors and marketing professionals.
Just to inform you, music is business.
Successful businesses make money.
Our technology segment will inform you about technology impacting the industry or what's available to you. Listen to us every Monday at 9 a.m. And remember, music is
The following show is paid programming and does not necessarily express the views and opinions of Urban Broadcast Media and its subsidiaries.
Thank you for listening to UBM.
Hi, this is Reverend Rick McCain.
And I'm the Brenda McCain, and you're listening to Let's Stay Together Talk.
Come on board the McCain train and take a 2-hour ride with us
as we discuss topics like the next stop and making marriage work.
Now, before the train leaves the station.
Thanks for joining us. Take a seat on our train. You just arrived at Let's Stay Together.
All right. Welcome to Let's Stay Together Talk. I'm your host, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, Brenda McCain. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm your boo.
Yeah, you my boo. Right now, I'm just trying to get my back together, but you my boo.
Okay. Hey, Miss Tracy, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, Brent.
Okay, well, we got a great lineup tonight. Everybody for listening and joining us this week on Let's Stay Together Talk, because this is going to be another great McCain train ride, because the Seagulls share our backstories. Now, our topic tonight is about hypocrisy. Hurt by the church, hurt by Christians, testimony. And in our second hour, we're going to be talking about surviving a divorce. But joining us tonight on the next stop to talk about hypocrisy is Reverend Gregory Powell of New Faith Baptist Church International.
All right. I thought you had something else you were going to say. Hey, Reverend Powell, you there?
Yes, I'm here. How you doing?
All right. I'm so used to her saying so much more. She just kind of shocked me a little bit by stopping, you know.
Yeah, well, I knew he was on the line.
After 22 years, you can't just shock her, brother.
I can't change
up. So, preacher,
I come in peace, so I have no comment.
That's right. Stay neutral.
Preacher, how you doing, man?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
All right. Before we get on, I just want to make sure, is that flu okay now? Last time I saw you had the little flu going on, and hope you're feeling better.
Oh, bless your heart. Yes, I am. Still got the little sniffles, but I'm feeling much better.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, man, we're talking about hypocrisy in the church. And, you know, a lot of times when people hear this, they think that, you know, we're talking about the church being hypocritical. But the foundation of Jesus Christ is not hypocritical. But you do have some people sometimes that people rub the wrong way or have a bad relationship with, and they place the church as being hypocrites because of that. And they use sometimes scriptures out of context when Jesus said, you scribes, Pharisees, hypocrites. We kind of use things out of content. So I want to talk a little bit about, you know, hypocrisy in the church and how people should understand that the foundation of the church is always going to be pure, it's always going to be holy, it's always going to be righteous in Christ Jesus' name. But you are going to have some situations where you deal with some people that may make you feel that somehow or another you can't trust the church. Talk to me a little bit about that and people thinking the church is the same as a person.
Well, first of all, I am troubled somewhat by the common notion that the church should be singled out as opposed to every other organization encompassing and being run by human beings as being hypocritical. You see the church held to a different human standard. I'm not talking about a different ethical, a different vision, a different mission standard, but a different human standard than, say, corporations and the politicians and et cetera, when it comes to the issue of hypocrisy, of people pretending to be something that they're not. That is we all sin and fall short, and the sin of hypocrisy is universal to any human organizations. And like every other organization, some companies are better than others, some politicians and governments are better than others, some churches are better than others. That said, when we look at how Jesus, and like you said, those scriptures, and really we're looking at at Matthew 23, when Jesus really launches a harsh attack, yes. and excoriation on the Pharisees. And we forget that the Pharisees were not his followers; they were not his church. His church were the tax collectors and prostitutes and the lower rung, the poor people, the poor folk, as well as wealthy people who were outcast and who poured into the movement. Those were his followers, and to them he preached grace. He preached the kingdom of heaven is at hand. He preached forgiveness. He preached not that you're a condemnation of the lower aspects of people's humanity, but that God embraced all of our humanity and wants us to press toward the mark of the high calling. And so when you and who he was harsh with were those who stood in judgment of those people, on their behavior, on their personal behavior, on their uncouthness, on their the length of the hem of their skirt, or whether they wear makeup or not, or what they smoke or what they drink. Not to minimize those issues, right. But these were not the things that in the eyes of Jesus condemned a person or separate a person from them. If anything, he welcomed those people because they were open to the grace of God and to the empowerment that comes from seeking his face and doing what he has called us to do, which is advance his kingdom.
Reverend Powell, in today's society, how can you deal with the hypocrites that are within the church right now?
Well, I think it's important to keep focus on what we're here for. What those of us who are in the church movement, what we're here for. God says in Micah 6 and 8, when asked the question, basically, okay, God, what do you want of us? And his answer is, well, I've shown you what's good. Let me tell you what I require of you: to act justly, to love, do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. So that's a life path. That's a journey. So as an individual, if I'm focused on walking my path to the best of my ability, then I don't have time for hypocrisy, and I don't have time to entertain hypocrites. Those who are pretending will not make that connection with me because I'm not. And so I would say that the best way to combat hypocrisy is to not be one.
And another thing, great answer is that a lot of times people look at and they take the word hypocrisy or hypocrite and they use it again, I said, out of context. Just because one person didn't agree with something that you said or that you do in the church, or you have an argument with somebody in the church, doesn't make the church or that individual a hypocrite. A lot of cases we get to a point where someone just disagreed and they want to now place all of the burden on the church. But I want to ask you this, Reverend Powell. As a person, I'm going to play the person that's never been in the church and I've been wounded by a church member. How do I I stop believing, because, the world out there say, well, the church is hypocritical. How can I stop believing that and just, instead of walking away from the church, try to investigate a little bit more about, the body of Christ more, instead of just allowing one bad apple spoil the whole bunch?
Yeah, I think it's about, first of all, recognizing that this is that a church community is and seeking God's face within that and through that and beyond that. That's a human need. It's not, if I go to a grocery store and or to a restaurant and I'm treated poorly and they promised me good service and good food, but I receive poor service and poor food, I don't say, okay, that's it, I'm done with restaurants. Restaurants all serve poor food and they all give bad service, because that's something I need and something I desire. I desire it so much that if I don't get it there, I will find something. And so I would encourage people to understand that churches are not monoliths. There's not just one church. There's not just one type of church. There's not just one level of authenticity in churches or in church people. Oftentimes within the same church. I mean, within our church, there are folk who, church people who hurt people because, you know what, that's what people do. Right. But just because you run across that, as you say, that bad apple, then find another apple. Go to another person, and then if you discern that that's the environment or the atmosphere of that particular body of Christ is not acting as the body of Christ, then pray, and seek another body of Christ.
Right, and I will.
If you want it, then knock and the door will be open.
I'll say this real quick: if you want to find a great body, a church body that you can go to, where they have great people working at that church, it's New Faith Baptist Church International in Matson, Illinois, where Reverend Felder is the pastor. So, and that is an awesome church to go to if people are looking for. You're going to have some people that are going, that are going to, bother you, because people are people. But the foundation of this church is solid and believes in Christ. I'm having my baby ask a question. I just had to throw that out there because I love that church.
And it's a tribute to our leader, to Pastor Felder and his wife and partner pastoring, Dr. Alexis Felder. It's really a tribute to their vision. If you want to look at a church, look at the leadership, look at its mission, and look at what it's doing beyond the walls. Right. And that will tell you pretty much all you need to know as to whether that's the place that God has for you.
Right.
But Reverend Powell, that is great, and it was nice if everybody would have that attitude when they go into looking for another church home or the church home. But you always get that one person that would turn that other person off to wanting to be there. And I was always brought up saying that, no church is perfect. So you're never going to find a perfect church, because when you step into it, we know those saying the church becomes imperfect because it's no perfect person. No perfect church, no perfect person, but a church such as New Faith Baptist Church International can teach you a lot of things that, you're not coming for the hypocrites. You have to stay focused on Jesus Christ. You have to stay focused on the main reason why you're there. But what are some ways that you can teach someone that? Because one little thing, like Tracy, I don't know if you want to share something with me, could turn a person off and never wanting to go back there. And it could be as simple as, what can you do if someone had an incident and someone in a group that's at the church, so the leader of the group turned them off and they just like, I can't do it because all Christians are hypocrites. When they go that far to take it to that, all Christians are hypocrites. What can you say to that individual?
I mean, it's real difficult to kind of stay into a church where you feel like they're being hypocritical. I won't go into the church or a lot of the details, but, there was a church once that I belonged to that refused to baptize my child. And it had nothing to do with anything I had done wrong or anything she had done wrong because she was a baby, but based on some of the things that they thought, they just refused to do it. And it made me leave the church and go to another church, which, I'm glad that I did in the long run. But there are things that happen and occur and just make you want to just leave.
And Reverend Powell, to add on to that, you have churches where situations like that may happen, but the good thing about Tracy is that she didn't walk away from the church. She just left that church to find another solid foundation. Talk to that one person that has been wounded and wants to feel that they don't want to be a part of another church anymore because they feel that all churches are hypocritical because of one situation.
Well, first of all, it's about the first thing is to keep the main thing, and I would encourage that person to keep the main thing. That is that church is a vessel, is a vehicle. It's not. It's the means. It's not the end. The point of it all is getting into a intimate, dynamic, life-transforming relationship with God, and that's not dependent on any particular church or any particular style of church. The second thing I would encourage that person, and so I encourage them to pray, to seek God, and to seek God's guidance in terms of where He wants you to, where God wants to lead you relative to church, being part of a church body and a church assembly. I would encourage them that, first of all, again, church. I would encourage them away from labeling, painting every Christian, all of the 2 or 3 billion Christians in the world, and all of the churches and bodies of worship with the broad brush of hypocrite, because that person I know is too smart for that. They would never apply that to any other organization or any other human group. But that, and I would encourage them that yes. Hurt people, church people hurt people hurt people sometimes. But but I would encourage them to press beyond that, because what God has for them and the path that God has for them, and not to harm them, to give them hope and a future. And so to not hinder their destiny and hinder the path that God has before them because of a particular experience. The old saying about a temporary situation, using a temporary situation as the basis for making a permanent decision. And you cannot get any more permanent of a decision than those involving how you're going to act out your faith in God.
Yeah, and that's real important, because like you say, there could be people in the church who don't have anyone to encourage them, and they will just walk away. So it's very important that somebody reaches out to that person and helps to keep them in church and God, everything.
And we churches need to. One thing that I love about and the plug again about New Faith Baptist Church International and the vision of our pastors is that it really is our vision. It's in our DNA, so to speak, our spiritual DNA coming down from God and through the vision of our pastors, that we really do want to care for each other, that we really do try to reach out, that really do support people who are in need, that we really do try to encourage people, and that we try to move away from this hypocritical theology of condemnation that's always looking, as Jesus said in that Matthew 23, of shutting the doors to the kingdom in people's faces. We want we want to show people what God has done for us, which is that in spite of our flaws and in spite of our fallenness and in spite of our mistakes and errors and in spite of the times that you may just catch us on a bad day, we really are seeking the heart of God through witness worship and wondrous works. We really are seeking to represent Christ not only in the global village, but right here within this family. And so I would encourage people to again, not paint all churches with the same brush, right, but to seek to follow God's lead. And I know that's hard for someone that they just get saved and they come into the church and boom, they run into a mean usher or something like that. I know it's difficult, but God is a God of encouragement. And so a lot of times those situations God will use those situations as part of a signpost to get you to where you need to be. So I would encourage people to look at those things. If you go to a church and that church is treated you meanly, use that as a sign. Sometimes signs say dead end. Sometimes signs say, turn the other way, right. U-turn. Read the signs. I would also encourage people when they join a church to not join it to investigate it, and I don't mean that in a clinical way, but to not only join a church because of the charisma of whoever's preaching or of the pastor in his presentation and the presentation of the worship service. But look a little deeper. Ask about it. If you got there, if you can, if you're going there and you want to, talk to some of the people who are members there. So, see what their experience from other people who have been there. Will help God to help you to follow God's direction.
And so one of the things we got to definitely do is that we've got to remove the word of being a hypocrite in the church, because we're talking about people, and people, I mean, hey, there's going to be some days I'm a preacher, you're a preacher. There are days that we're not feeling the greatest, but it doesn't mean that has anything of a representation to the God in us or the foundation of the Christ that's in that church. And so if you do meet a mean usher, or, you run into somebody, or sometimes people seem to get upset, well, I called you and you didn't call me back. I'm like, well, that's going to happen sometimes. But you have to look at the overall foundation. It's growing. See how, people are living. See how the leaders are responding to people. And then not take one situation and just say, well, I didn't like this, so I'm not going to go back. Not Tracy. It may happen. When you see that, I mean, if sometimes, like he said, there are some churches you just got to leave.
But you know what? I remember a couple of years ago, someone told me that the two things they look at before they get into the four walls of the church is the parking ministry and the greeters.
Well,
I said,
you're in trouble with the parking ministry.
if the parking ministry is evil to them, that turns off people going. If you can't park the way you want to, if you're not a member of a church, you don't know that parking etiquette. But if you're just visiting and you have the parking ministry, go here, do that, and they're being harsh towards them. But when you first walk into the door of any church, and that greeter is not a friendly person, don't have a smile on their face, really assisting you, it's like, what am I walking into?
Yeah, but I'm sorry, we don't have no parking ministry.
Well, I mean,
park. Right. That's why I'm sitting here looking.
Depends on the church. But it does happen. But we still need to let people know that even if that happens, take some time to see the church as a whole, and not make a decision based on you can't park, the right way. And a lot of times we make that one decision and we may miss the blessing of the church. And also, I will add this before I let you go on, is that in some cases, Satan is looking for you to find that one person to leave their church because he doesn't want you there. So you have to go beyond the people and see Christ. So, Reverend, what do you have to say about that?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, hypocrite, and you mentioned this earlier, hypocrite has become a catch-all phrase for condemning the church.
Right.
And singling it out for condemnation for blanket condemnation. Because the person is now granted, yes, people in the parking lot should all be invited. Should all be inviting and pleasant at all times. People in the greeters and the ushers and whatever those elements of function that a church may have should all be welcoming and encouraging and should have smiles in their face and this and that and the other. But because if a person does not mean, number one, that the whole institution is hypocritical, and it does not even mean that person is a hypocrite. Because a hypocrite is a person who pretends to have virtues or moral or religious beliefs and principles, etc., that they don't actually possess. Well, our belief system is not that we are perfect and that we are pleasant at all times. That's not our belief system is that Jesus Christ is Lord, that He has forgiven us of our sins, of our errors in judgment, of our willful disobedience, and that He embraces our humanity in order to develop us into what the Bible says we are, His workmanship, created in Him to do good works, which He ordained before, gave us beforehand to do. And so, one should not confuse bad behavior with hypocrisy. Those are two different concepts. Human beings at any given moment, myself and included, right, at any given moment can respond on a wide scale of human response. Can be noble and perfectly noble and wonderful, or can be completely ridiculous and stupid. That it happens. Right. And so we should the glory of Jesus Christ and the good news of the gospel is that God saw us, and Jesus came and tabernacled with us as we are. We come to him as we are, right, without plea, as the song goes. We come to him just as we are. God receives us just as we are, and God commands us just as we are. Commands us to do his work, commands us to grow, nurtures us to go beyond our human limitations, so that we, as we continue to seek his face, we grow to the point where even if I'm not feeling it, I can greet you with a smile because I'm on my mission, not because I'm a perfect human being, but because I'm now more focused on pressing for the mark of the high calling in him.
So, Reverend Powell, before we want to get some people to know you a little bit as well, but tell us about you and the church that you go to.
Oh, okay. Well, I serve under Pastor Felder as a minister of pastoral care, and my area, I cover a fairly wide area, but part of it is I do bereavement care, counseling, walking families through the valleys of the shadow of death of their experiences, and encouraging them and through that. I also minister to the children and work with them currently, and do a number of other things as well. But that's basically my role. New Faith is a church in 2 continents, very strong in 2 continents. We also have a presence in Asia, but we are of course, the United States and in Africa. We through our non-for-profit arm, the Joseph Assignment Global Initiative, we do a lot of work for the poor, building wells, clean water wells, micro-business farming, using solar technology to bring energy to remote villages. We build schools for in remote villages where there are none, where kids have no access to education, and staff them with professional teachers. Local teachers. We do medical clinics where we serve thousands of people who have absolutely no access. I mean, God has used us to save lives sometimes with nothing more than a Tylenol for people who have had absolutely no access to any medical care whatsoever. So we do that in Africa. We also we're here in the United States. We about 30 miles from here is one of the Pembroke area is one of the poorest areas in the country. We have had a long-term presence there, providing various services, building ball fields, providing resources. We were there before Oprah broadcasted, and we're there after she's left. We also do things in the direct local community. So this is in essence what I do and what we're about. We are currently reworking the curriculum, teaching curriculum of the entire church, and I'm very heavily involved with that because we believe that we have to teach our folk and grow our folk to not fall into the hypocrite versus condemnation paradigm, but to really understand that this is what the very key principles of what it is that makes us followers of Jesus Christ. So we're not misled by the waves of ignorant opinion that goes forth regarding the church as a whole. And so that's something that we're very excited about, and that's already becoming transformational in the body of this church.
Hey, so you guys are doing some great things. I need to go to that church, New Faith Church. I think I'm going to go join that church. What about you, baby?
I think I'm going to go, too.
Yeah, we got
Tracy
it.
Along
We got it. That sounds like a church that's doing some great things that people couldn't even think about saying that they're hypocrites. Hey, Pastor, he's in pastoral care. Reverend Powell, thank you very much for being on our show. Brother, we'll have you again to share with us your expertise give our love to the pastor and first lady. We'll see them soon. And thank you very much for sharing with us about hypocrisy in the church.
Well, thank you for the privilege and the honor, and I'll give them your love, and I'm sure they'll return it.
And your love to your lovely lady as well.
Yes, pray for her. I think she caught my flu, so she's
I'm gonna pray for you too, because she's mad at you now.
Well, but Deacon Deborah is very forgiving.
All right, brother. It's good to talk to you again. We'll talk to you soon.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Take care.
All right. Hey, baby, what we gonna do now?
Right now, we're going to go to POV, Point of View by Donna Terrell.
Hi, this is Rick McCain along with Brenda McCain and Tracy Brown Howard. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
My name is Donna, and I'm a stressaholic. I don't want to be, but I'm always thinking about stuff, mainly money. What's due now? We gotta pay this, we gotta pay that. We need to save more. How much are the taxes gonna be? And on it goes. This is an ongoing satanic attack, and it ends now. These tormenting thoughts will no longer consume me. Only the Word of God can help. And on that note, I want to share some confessions that I've recently been saying aloud over my life every morning. I got this from the excellent Pastor Gregory Dickow of Life Changers Church in the Chicago area. I'll speak over you. I set the course of your life today with words. I declare today that you will not be defeated, discouraged, depressed, or disappointed today. God is on your side, and therefore you cannot be defeated. His favor surrounds you today as a shield. Expect favor today from heaven and from the earth. You will not be sick, sad, broke, or confused today. Your angels are carrying out the word of God on your behalf. I speak to the raging waters in your life. Peace, be still. I say to your emotions, mind, body, home, family, peace, be still. Now I speak to every mountain of fear, discouragement, stress, depression, every mountain of lack and insufficiency, and I say be removed and cast into the sea in Jesus' name. Expect the best day of your life spiritually, emotionally, relationally, and financially today in Jesus' name. For Let's Stay Together, this is Point of View by Donna Terrell.
Welcome back to the Let's Stay Together talk show. Now here is your host, Reverend Rick McCain and author Brenda McCain.
All right, welcome back to Let's Stay Together Talk. Your host, Reverend Rick, and author Brenda McCain here. We had an awesome time talking with Reverend Powell from New Faith Baptist Church about hypocrisy on the church, and basically we're talking about how people will think, they'll put a blanket statement on the church about being hypocrites, but sometimes, most of the times it's just the individual that you run into, and you should not, say that the church is that way, and not just you just ran into an individual where you may have had a disagreement with. But we're going to go on for right now, and baby, what we got for our next segment?
We have Do You Remember? And this week, Do You Remember is Saturday morning cartoon.
Saturday morning cartoon. So we got to get Dion in this one too. What was your favorite cartoon? So baby, you started off. You got the cartoons out there. So let me just say this. Remember, we're giving away tickets to Zanies. If you will let us know on Facebook what your favorite cartoon is. If we see your name out there, you're the first person we recognize, we will give you tickets to go to Zanies in Chicago. So look on the Facebook page and let us know about your favorite cartoon. Do you remember? Baby, so what was your favorite Saturday morning cartoon?
My favorite, I have two, were the Jetsons and the Flintstones.
George
I went
Jetson.
Stone Age to New Age. I used to love.
that is weird.
I mean, I used to love me some
Daughter
Jane
Judy.
and Wilma because they fashion
Jane,
stuff
his
was
wife.
off the chain to me, and I just thought it was so cute. And I'm like, all the rest of the cartoons, they just failed in comparison to me. It was just those two for me.
So, I mean, Tracy's a little bit, got a little bit, crazier cartoons here and stuff. But we're going to ask her for her old work cartoons. You can tell about the little crazy new ones. So what's the old cartoons you so like?
I mean, I'm kind of looking at these old cartoons, just to kind of jog my memory back. And I did love me some Archies.
I knew you was going to say that.
And Richie Rich. I thought he was pretty awesome, too. So, yeah, probably the Archies because I like real people but in cartoons. And Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Can't stand it now, but I did like Scooby-Doo.
I didn't like Scooby-Doo when I was even young. So, Dion, send us your cartoons that you like over here to Tracy so we can tell him our producer Dion's cartoons. I'm going to tell you, there's a cartoon, What was that?
Flintstones?
No, that wasn't
Do
Flintstones.
it again. Do it again.
Do it again. Okay. He's going to do it again.
And what?
In 1 second, he's going to do it again. Oh, Transformers.
No.
Transformers.
I never would have got that.
But at first when he said it, I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds like Transformers. So Dion likes Transformers.
I didn't do Transformers.
I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of cartoons that Brenda has on here that I liked. I'm going to tell you some that I didn't like. I never liked Fat Albert. I never liked Fat Albert.
I wasn't crazy about him.
I didn't like Scooby-Doo. I was not crazy about Underdog at all.
Oh, God, no.
There's no need to fear. Underdog is it. Like, the dog was too small. Who you going to beat up? Sorry, Tracy. Richie Rich was not one of my favorite cartoons.
Rich was cool.
I just thought that's like, all I need to see is somebody that don't look like me that got more money. I see that all the time.
Oh, how about Little Lotto?
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
I liked
But
her
I
too.
will tell you the cartoons. I did like Tom and Jerry, the Jetsons.
That's one I don't
the Flintstones.
like.
I hate Tom and Jerry.
I did like that Popeye, Roadrunner. But if you get if it comes on TV right now, I would go downstairs, turn off all the lights, and watch it for hours. Is Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
I love watching Bugs Bunny. Just seeing Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck together. I love seeing those cartoons.
Is that the one with Elmer Fudge? Or
Yeah.
Elmer
I don't like
Fudd?
them. How about Deion saying? How about Mighty Mouse and He-Man?
I didn't like Mighty Mouse.
Yeah.
I never liked something that didn't look realistic. I would always sit there and say, I like the Roadrunner, but I'm like, dude,
I like Roadrunner.
Dude, find something else to eat.
No,
You're
did
not gonna
like
catch
them.
this.
I did like Popeye, though.
Yeah, olive oil.
Yeah,
Like,
he grew on
yeah.
me.
Bruno beating him up all the time. I think you kind of like the little guy in that aspect. But I wasn't a big Super Friends. I didn't like Batman.
I
and
like Super
stuff
Friends.
like that. I didn't really like that. Can you tell us about these little weird cartoons that you watch now? She's got these weird old cartoons, old people cartoons now.
No, yeah, I guess they are. I am into Adult Swim cartoons.
Never heard of that. Deion, you ever heard of the Adult Swim? Deion's like, yeah.
So I love me some Bob's Burger.
Oh, God.
King of the Hill.
King of the Hill. That's a crazy
And
thing.
oh God, I just forgot the other one. Yes, Bob's Burger, King of the Hill, and what's the other one, Dion?
You didn't forget it already. How about SpongeBob? Is that the
God,
other-
no, we don't allow SpongeBob. Bob's Burger, King of the Hill. Oh my God, help me out, people! I just said it.
You just said it, yeah. I mean, if you get some Bugs Bunny on there, or they used to have the cartoons on there where Bugs Bunny was on with Elmer Fudd, Porky the Pig, Foghorn, Leghorn. Oh
I
my
can't
God!
stand those.
Hey, boy, let me tell you something, boy. I'm trying to talk to you, boy. You got to learn how you do this thing, boy. You just can't just take the ball in your hand, boy. You got to know what you're doing, boy.
Family Guy.
Family Guy.
He made you think of Family Guy.
Yeah,
I used to love.
I had to look in my head.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to love Foghorn Leghorn. He used to
See,
kick me
those
to
are the
death,
ones I
boy.
could not stand.
It's like they was so funny to me. The things that he would do with him.
You one of those people that like the anvil that dropped on your head and his head. Face
Well,
smashed and stuff.
I sat there and I'm like, okay, this doesn't look real, but Foghorn Leghorn was just funny to me because of the way he talked, especially when the little thing was looking for a chicken hawk, and he was all like, I ain't a chicken, there's a chicken, boy. See that dog there? That's a chicken, boy. I'll show you how you can get this chicken, boy. You ain't listening to me, boy. You got to start listening. These little days, they don't know how to listen out there. Him going through that stuff, it was just so funny to me. So what we're asking you to do is go on our Facebook page and go to our Do You Remember. Let us know what your Saturday morning cartoon was, and once you let us know, we will give you tickets. Tracy, somebody let you know already?
Well, they didn't go to the link, but somebody's saying Roadrunner.
Roadrunner? So you got to go. You got to go onto our Facebook page so you can win those tickets. So whoever you are, go on that Facebook page and put it on there. And so you have some cartoons. I think we might be missing. Is there a cartoon, Dion, that we're missing that was good back in the day? I'm trying to figure out.
Pink Panther.
Oh yeah, Pink Panther.
I didn't like it either when it was out there.
It was just quiet,
Oh, you know the one? He was a skunk. Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe Le Pew was a part of the Bugs Bunny.
Looney Tunes.
I used to Looney Tunes. That's right. I used to love Looney Tunes. Pepe Le Pew was like one of
Now, he was a skunk that didn't know he stunk, right?
He was in love with a cat that he thought was a skunk.
Yeah, that was and like. Me because he would go through so much to get this cat, and then one time they showed him when the cat fell in love with him and he started running. But I liked cartoons back then. I guess it was at our age, and so that's what they had. And so some of the cartoons they had now, like I could never understood Barney. My son used to like some
the purple thing.
Oh, Barney.
My son used to like some kind of silly cartoons where the people you say scrap. They would talk real funny. I can't remember what those things were. Dion, I think Dion. You remember that crazy cartoons where they would?
They were cartoon.
They were just. It might have been a ball that changed colors.
Fun.
I used to take them because they had movies, and I forgot the name of it. It was crazy.
California Raisins wasn't a cartoon, but that used to crack me up because they raisins thinking they sexy.
Yeah. The funny cartoons to me that never made it was like people like the Osmonds that came out, and they had their cartoons.
The Jackson 5 and the Brady Bunch.
And the Brady Bunch.
I did
Everybody used to have those cartoons that you didn't like.
But the Jetsons and the Flintstones was that. Yeah. They just took that as humans and put them in cartoons and made them run.
But they changed the name because the Jetsons, I think, came from the Gleason show.
No, that was the Flintstones.
Flintstones came from that, yeah. But, Fat Albert was actually the only one that I thought that was successful. Because it came from, the what you call it,
Bill Cosby. Yeah, he said it was based on his real life,
right?
Or
And so even though I didn't particularly care for it, it was kind of successful. And so it was nice. But hey, if you go on our Facebook page, Do You Remember, and put down the information.
Teletubbies, thanks,
Teletubbies, okay.
Bullwinkle.
Bullwinkle. I didn't
Betty
like Bullwinkle and Rocky. Betty Boo.
Yeah, Betty Boo.
Yeah, I didn't like Bullwinkle and Rocky either.
Ooh, Snagglepuss.
Snagglepuss. Yeah,
Huckleberry Hound. What's the one name where the bear will never
Yogi?
Make it?
I remember that.
We'll never make it.
Yeah, he used to always say
Rumbly
that.
Bear. He would always say, "We'll never make it."
I used to like Yogi Bear.
Yeah, Yogi was
Yogi,
okay.
what you
know too many cartoons.
And then with the Popeye one, didn't the hamburger guy always owe somebody some money?
I'll gladly pay you next Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Popeye.
Yeah, that was what Wimpy used to say.
Wimpy.
Yeah, so
he knows too many cartoons.
Hey, that's all right.
There's nothing wrong with adult cartoons.
I don't know. These adult cartoons.
I'm sorry, Bob Burgers. I stay.
Okay. We're still trying to get both of them saved, Brenda and Tracy. So if you go on our Facebook page, Do You Remember? Let us know what cartoon you like. We'll give you some tickets to Zanies. Hey, we're about to get ready to go to Meet the McCains. And the last time when we talked about Meet the McCains, we had the kids here, and they were on my side because Brenda was ashamed to tell people that she was married to Reverend Rick McCain. And we were married, like almost 6-8 months before we actually got married.
At the
wedding. And she didn't want to tell her mother. So we were finding out the last time, we were talking, when did Brenda finally let her mother know? Because her mother didn't know, her brother didn't know, and nor did her sister. So Brenda, when did you not, become ashamed of your husband anymore?
4 years after we had the wedding.
So 4 years after you finally stopped getting. So you're telling me you.
And that was by accident.
So what happened? How did that come about that you were embarrassed for so long?
My aunts was here from Memphis, and we was all talking in the house watching something on TV, probably one of those crazy talk shows of would you ever held a secret or something. And then my sister just started putting two and two together, thinking, I never signed this girl's wedding certificate or whatever we call that thing. And I'm trying to play it off. And she said, why didn't I ever sign that? I'm like, you know what? I'm 4 years in. I told them we was already married, and it was just a look of shock on their face and frustration. And my mom at that time had her leg broken in 2 places, and she was still determined to make my dress. So that's why I was saying I don't want to hurt her feelings and say, well, we already married, because she would have said, well, I'm not making your dress.
Well, I mean, I could understand at the time, and I want to thank all the people that are listening right now that's going to be on my side again on this situation. I don't care. No. I can understand. You know, that's why I say she needs to be saved again. We need to help her. She don't even care that she embarrassed over her husband.
And I thought she was kidding about the 4 years, but she's serious.
No,
I'm serious.
You know, it's
wow.
like, you know, embarrassed over her husband. I mean, that
I
to me.
I was embarrassed of you.
But you haven't said anything yet. You didn't say. So
I'm saying that
all the people
I never
that
said
are
I was
listening
embarrassed
wouldn't know.
of you.
You know,
I just said I was afraid of my mama. Said it last week and this week. Sweet lady. She wouldn't done anything to me, but I just did not want to see that look of disappointment on her face.
But you got married anyway. She still made the dress. You didn't have to wait 4 years
I
later.
totally forgot about it, because man, the house, the ring on with.
You know, she gets married 4 years later, and until her sister comes up with, hey, I didn't sign anything, nobody would know. So if her sister would have never thought about that, 22 years later, no one would have known that about it. But I, being the person I am, happy, you know, about, you know, my marriage, I'm going to use a song that's probably not appropriate or doesn't go, but I came out and told everybody, I'm coming out. I want the world to know, married to Brenda. I'm coming. Brenda was like, you know, I don't even know a song I can bring up with her.
Well, this one thing people wouldn't know, Brenda could hold a secret.
Yeah, it's true. Now that I was getting ready to just ask you that. You said your family knew Rick, right?
Yeah.
How did you keep your family from telling anybody that might have got back to Brenda's family?
Well, you know, I mean, they didn't, you know, I think I told them not to say because Brenda was embarrassed of me. And I told my family,
how did that make them feel?
If he would have said that, we wouldn't be married. Because they had probably been talking to him. Why would you be with somebody? So he didn't say that.
And 22 years later, that was the only thing I had to do? Fine.
Man, please. You lost without me.
And so, you know, we get married, and you know, nobody knows about it. And then, I mean, even the preacher knew about it, because when he was marrying us, we told him that he was already married, because he had to sign something, and he did the wedding for free for us, because he said, "Hey, you guys are married. I'm not going to charge you anything." So preacher knew, everybody knew. You know, it's like it was like no big deal, but to Brenda it was a big deal. And then when she finally tells somebody about it, how did your mother react? I was
just going to ask that.
Yeah.
Mama, call in. She was hurt. I mean, she loved the fact that we wasn't burning and sinning, because she was wondering, like, she's a minister. You don't need to be corrupting each other.
Yeah,
like
you don't need to be spending the night over the man's house.
She was happy
him.
About that.
Yeah.
But the fact that, she instilled in me, this is what your father did to me, took me to City Hall and said we was going to have a wedding later, and it never happened. She never wanted me to fall into that trap. I did exactly that, but I ended up having my wedding.
But you could have told your mother that I was doing this because I didn't want my husband to burn, because he was getting,
She said she was happy by that.
So it was better that she thought you was a little sleazy? No.
They never thought that. Brenda was clever with her.
Mama probably was thinking on the side like, I don't know. Because, there was some times
it wasn't like I stayed at his mother's house or anything. I came home. My mama seen me at home.
Yeah, she came home about, 3, 4
o'clock
o'clock in the morning.
It wasn't no every night.
It sure wasn't every night.
Wow.
I wanted it every night. No.
Dang.
No. I don't care if we married.
So how'd you even get away with the honeymoon night?
We was in. Wait a minute. When we did that, we was in Chetek.
Yeah, we just went away for
But
the
I'm saying
weekend.
you just-
What did you tell your mother when you went away for that? Yeah, that's a good question,
That was a
Tracy.
business trip. That was a business trip.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So wait a minute. She's good with keeping a secret, but she can lie real good too, by the way. That was a business trip, Mama. So that means, so now I don't know. She can keep a secret and she can lie. How does that look for a husband that your wife can keep a secret and lie well?
I don't have to.
Ladies and gentlemen that are listening out there, help me out. Go on Facebook and say to me, how can you trust your wife if you know that she can keep a secret and can lie very well? That's a good question we need to put out there, Tracy.
How
can you
trying
trust
to scar my name.
your spouse? I mean, we just joking here.
Look, Tracy, he trying to mess up my credibility.
Yeah, but how do you do that? If you know that your spouse can keep a secret, but they lie very well.
Faith that she would not, or he would not do that to you.
Yeah, but that's...
Unless it's for the good of our relationship.
Yeah, so we're going to lie for the good of our relationship. Wow, that sounds really good. Hey.
You a better woman than me because I couldn't have did it.
Girl, it was easy.
Yeah, she can lie. Did you just see how hear it again?
Sorry.
She can lie easy. Wow.
I'm more so saying it was easy keeping the secret.
And so, it's good that you finally came out, that you was told everybody about that. And, it's great that, we're together with each other. We're going to change up a little bit next week, and we're going to just start talking about some things about, in our relationship that we may have had to deal with. And so we're going to do something like maybe forgiveness or something like that we're going to talk about in our relationships so you can meet the McCains and see how we deal with situations in our relationship and how we handle it.
We're going to be totally honest
Yeah, we're going to be
that.
totally honest because you can tell Brenda can lie. She just told you. So we're going to be totally honest. She can keep a secret and lie. So we're going to be totally honest. So next week we're going to change it up a little bit and we're going to start going. She probably asked us a couple of questions too, to be interviewing us to find out some things about the McCains. So thank you for listening to Meet the McCains. And, baby, I think you've got the inspirational corner. We're going to do a tribute to an awesome person. So talk about that.
Inspirational corner by none other than the radio legend himself, Doug Banks.
Yes.
And I know everybody, social media has been blowing up yesterday and continue blowing up today, but I am so inspired by this man and his 40 years of being in service of servicing us over the radio, because even though he had an illness, and we all know he, died with complications of diabetes and was a kidney failure, the fact that he persevered to the end. Because I think what got me, even though he took a hiatus for a couple of months off the radio and then just came back this past February, in that pain of what he go with dialysis and everything, he steadfast, just continued to do what he loved and what he was told not to do that garnered him so much. And after, reading my research about him, I said, man, this is another person that fought through the pain, that came up here. His last event was here this weekend at the Black Women's Expo. And he was so frail and everything, but to come, and make his appearance and do what he loved to do, that should inspire a lot of people all the way to the end. Fight for what you believe in, and how he helped so many people. And if nothing else, which I really believe that his death is not in vain, that diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney problems, this is on the map right now. The people are paying more attention and being more aware of their health. Be proactive with your body, because, he admitted in the beginning he was laxy-daisy, he was overweight. He did say that he, in some of his video clips back in the day, that he didn't eat properly because he was always jet-setting all over the place, not eating the right foods and stuff, and it caught up with him. But he did try to correct the wrong. He had a nice lifespan in between of doing better, and he made other people aware of that. So, Doug Banks, I am totally inspired by you.
And the great thing about Doug Banks, I mean, I remember when I was, younger and listening to radio and wasn't on radio myself at that time, you saw in Doug Banks the realism. I mean, he was just real and open, and it drew you to him. You're starting to listen to someone that was infectious, the laughter and the joking. And how he played around and how he talked to people and how he, he interviewed people, and someone called into the radio, you would hear him talking back and forth with them, and he was always so jovial and so nice and kind. And I just remember, and I didn't listen to a lot of radio back in the day, but I made sure that I would listen to, Doug Banks' show, because I loved that, going home or listening to him and just hearing him joke around and play on the radio, and they play the songs that you like. And back in my day, I had a Camaro Z28 and driving around, I wasn't really, into the word back then. But I was listening, and you would always hear, Doug talking and just, being such of an awesome inspiration that in a lot of cases, the fun-lovingness that I have draws from people like him, him or Steve Harvey. You had what's the other guy? Tom Joyner. I can even go back to
Richard Pegues.
Richard Pegues. And, back in the day, you had those people that had that wonderful spirit. And so, hearing about losing a legend like Doug Banks is kind of hurtful, because he was still a young man.
But what's interesting with him? We might not heard him in years or seen him or nothing. He was still doing his stuff prevalently in Chicago with I-90 or 190 North or whatever.
I-90 North.
I-90 North?
Yeah.
190 North. He was still doing everything that he was doing.
North, yeah.
The thing is, even though we didn't see him all the time, when that news hit yesterday, it was like a shockwave that went through.
Everybody,
he was like your brother all the time. Like we always joke and say, well, Obama is our brother and stuff.
Yeah.
He was like our brother on the radio ways. And I'm sure this family of people who's on radio is taking it so hard, because who would ever thought we would do radio, and you listen to his distinctive voice, because he did have that distinctive voice, and he did make you feel like a friend if you ever met him.
Right, and that's the thing about it, is that he did make you feel like a friend, and when you heard him on the radio, he was entertaining. He kept you listening to the show. There were so many different things that was happening on there, and then some of the things that we try to do is keeping people entertained comes from icons like a Doug Banks. And so to hear the passing of Doug Banks, it's when you work sometimes and you hear that, it's almost like that stop. Everything you're doing stops. Like, wow,
it did.
Doug Banks. And first you got to check it out, because people put false things out there. You want to think,
right,
why
right.
would someone do something like
that would happen?
And then when you saw that it was legitimate, it was you just felt a sadness.
Hey, can I do some quick facts?
Sure, go ahead.
Before we move on. He was born in June in 1958. Of course, he would have been, 58 this year, I believe. And born in Philadelphia. He started his radio career in Detroit, but he became in Chicago too, former DX, and later DCI, where he number one in the. That's awesome back then. In 1995, he signed a multi-million-dollar deal with ABC to host a syndicated show from Dallas. Now, with him, I don't know why, I never once thought he was a millionaire, though. Oh, my God, the man. But see, his personality, he's just like an everyday person you see him.
And see, nobody knows that we're millionaires either.
They don't need to know neither.
They don't need to know, because we're still trying to figure it out.
But they don't need to know. We don't need no new friends,
Hey, the Bible says, call those things that be not as though they were. I am a millionaire. But go ahead.
But at Let's Stay Together Talk, condolences are going out from us to his wife, beautiful wife, Wendy Banks, I believe, if he's still married to her, and his 4 beautiful daughters. And the thing that gets me, it saddens my heart to know that someone that had that much charisma over the radio is gone.
Yeah, it is sad that he's gone. So we gave our inspirational corner today to a tribute to Doug Banks. Doug, the world, not just the radio world, but the radio or TV world, the world is going to miss an awesome man like you. This is Reverend Rick McCain. Thank you for listening to Let's Stay Together Talk. I'm here with Brenda McCain and Tracy Brown Howard. We're going to go to commercial break, and then we're going to come back with our next guest on Making Marriage Work.
Stay Together Talk presents Heart to Heart with Reverend Rick McCain.
Hi, this is Rain. On our show, we do a segment called Leave It in the Car. And the segment is set up so issues that people go through and relate and how they can basically solve them. We do it in a time, but typically situations, trials, and tribulations in life are not something that you can solve. It takes time and patience. You have to be willing to work together with each other to resolve each and every issue to a point where it benefits both parties. Sure, somebody else may get benefited more from a situation being resolved than another, but the fact is that the relationship or that covenant relationship has not been affected because of the problem, because one person is benefiting over the other. You both benefit by resolutions to a problem. Unfortunately, we don't benefit when we argue, fuss, and fight about issues that if we took the time and just talked about it to each other in a nice, calm, easy fashion, we could probably find a solution right away. And for those problems that take days, months, or sometimes even years, you still have the ability to resolve each situation one day at a time until it's resolved. I implore you to leave things in the car and don't fight against each other about situations that together you can resolve in love.
UrbanBroadcastMedia.com and check out the many services Urban Broadcast Media provides. Whether it's social media, video production, radio broadcasting, or audio recording, we got you covered.
UrbanBroadcastMedia.com, Chicago.
And around the world where your voice is heard. This is UBM Talk. The following show is paid programming and does not necessarily express the views and opinions of Urban Broadcast Media and its subsidiaries.
Thank you for listening to UBM Talk.
Welcome back to the Let's Stay Together talk show. Now here is your host and author Brenda McCain.
All right. Welcome back to Let's Stay Together Talk. Thank you for listening to us for the first hour of the show. We're about to get ready to go to our Making Marriage Work segment. Baby, who do we've got for Making Marriage Work?
Making Marriage Work. We are talking about surviving a divorce, and our special guest tonight is Joyce Motter. She is an MA, LCPC, and founder and CEO of Urban. Welcome, Ms. Joyce.
Thank you so much for having me. Great to be with you guys again.
All right. Hey, I did miss you. Haven't been here for a while, so thanks for coming back onto the show.
Absolutely. Anytime. My pleasure.
So, Joyce, I wanted to start off, in a lot of times within marriage relationships, we people get married, and for some, reason, people separate, and it causes an issue. And we want to kind of talk to some of the people who are maybe going through a divorce or has been divorced, how to survive through that. So talk to me a little bit about, a survival technique that someone should have if they're going through or have been divorced.
Absolutely. Well, I have counseled probably hundreds of people through separation and divorce, and actually have gone through this personally myself in the past year and a half or so. And it certainly is a big life transition, and one that not many of us expect to go through. But I really believe that it's an opportunity for kind of a rebirth or a metamorphosis. It's really an opportunity to re-examine your life and shift back to your authentic self. So it's a time to kind of reflect at, what's been working and what's not working in your life, and identify any themes or patterns that you've unconsciously been creating, and then, set up a new plan for yourself. I'm a firm believer in the power of intention. So kind of thinking through how you'd like your life to be from here forward and creating a positive vision for that future.
Ms. Joyce, is it hard to redefine yourself after divorce? Because most people think you lose your identity when you marry, but once you're coming out of a marriage, is it hard to realize, okay, what did Joyce like to do? What am I capable of doing?
That's exactly right, Brenda. It can be really challenging because your identity changes in so many ways, and oftentimes your social life changes or your day-to-day lifestyle changes. So challenging, and I really encourage people to, it's important to connect who's been through. I say that friends like elevator buttons, they either bring you up or they bring you down. Yes, so you want to surround yourself with positive support to really kind of normalize and validate your experience. And then in terms of redefining yourself, I think it's important to pay attention to your thinking. I really don't like to think about divorce as a failed marriage or as someone having a broken family. I think that separation and divorce are unfortunately sometimes necessary for people to grow and move forward in their lives in a positive direction. And so we want to pay attention to our thinking and keep it positive. I think that we set our own ceilings sometimes, so I really encourage my clients and my friends and colleagues to aim high in terms of how they'd like their identity and their life to be going forward, and practice a lot of self-care. I really do believe that self-love must come first.
Yeah, Joyce, I'm a product of a divorce too myself, and although it transitioned to be something great because now I'm married to this beautiful woman over here for 22 years. At that time, I felt, lost, depressed, and I felt like a failure because it was something I never wanted to experience or go through. Talk to that person right now that might be feeling that way and give them something to reassure them that, divorce doesn't mean that you failed. It just means the relationship didn't work.
You said that so well, Rick, and you're absolutely right that it can be very, very hard. And I think it's important for people to really honor their feelings and allow themselves to feel whatever they're experiencing and to grieve the losses of the life that you thought you'd have. And sometimes through that experience, I think that sometimes our setbacks are opportunities for growth. And sometimes even going through hard experiences can prepare us and open us up for something even better and a greater love, a greater life that maybe we never even anticipated. And you're a great example of having achieved that with Brenda.
Hi, Joyce. It's Tracy here. And one of the things you said that was really important, I'm divorced now. I've been divorced for 16 years, and it was like a death. And it was so devastating. I mean, I actually had a little nervous breakdown and everything. But one of the things Brenda said earlier, too, I had a harder time finding out who I was after the divorce. I mean, I didn't lose myself before the divorce. I lost myself after the divorce. I knew who I was in the marriage, but I didn't have any idea who I was afterwards. Does that make sense to you?
Right, absolutely. It makes total sense, Tracy, and I think a lot of people go through that. And so I think that we all can benefit from reflection. So any kind of practice that helps you go internal and check in with how you're really feeling on a deeper level. For some people, that might be a spiritual practice like meditation or prayer. For some people, it might be going to counseling or therapy, which I think is something really healthy and normal and proactive. And you're sitting with somebody who is able to reflect back to you how they see you and understand you. And that can help you understand yourself better and become more psychologically integrated and to develop a plan to move forward. And it is a trauma. Going through a divorce is a trauma, and you're absolutely right. It is like a death and enormously stressful.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to say that the counseling helped. But that's actually one of the reasons that I wound up on this show. No, really, it did. It was. We talked about forgiveness, and I came on as a guest and never left.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, and forgiveness is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely important to help with a relationship.
I know that could be
and,
kind of hard.
and to move forward.
Yeah, to move forward, you have to forgive the person, whether you initiated the divorce or the other person did. But if you're stuck and just hating that person, if they initiated it, then you're not going to be able to grow in the future. But let's talk about if kids are involved. How can you minimize the impact on the children during a divorce?
Absolutely. Well, I think forgiveness is actually an important part of that, to be able to forgive yourself. Like Rick was saying earlier, you're not blaming yourself for failing in a marriage, to forgive your former partner. Resentment is like, it keeps you tethered to the past. So letting go and working at practicing acceptance and basic good parts, all of that is going to set up an environment that isn't hostile and tense between the two parents, so that the kids feel more at peace and less stressed out. It's really important for the parents to take care of themselves. I think sometimes as parents we're trained to always put our kids first, and sometimes at the detriment of our own self-care. So it's important for us to make sure that we're getting enough sleep, that we're getting exercise, that we're eating right, that, you know, we're not abusing drugs or alcohol, or that we're getting enough support. And if we're happy and healthy, our kids are going to do a lot better. It's also obviously really important not to put the kids in the middle, you know, to communicate directly and diplomatically and respectfully with your former partner to resolve issues, so that you're not asking your kid to kind of go back and forth between the two of you.
Right.
It's also important not to talk badly about your ex. And obviously we're all human, and that may happen from time to time, but it is really harmful for the kids. So really being cognizant of not speaking poorly about your ex to your kids. You know, that you can talk to your buddies about that, but not your children. It puts them in a really bad situation. And I think, you know, practicing empathy, allowing them to have their feelings, and it's okay if they're sad or they're angry or they're hurting. It doesn't mean that you're a bad parent or that you failed. It's a normal response to the situation, and it will pass. Yeah. Life will transition.
So, Joyce, you said something that was important to me, is that, you know, not bashing the other's former spouse in the relationship. But one of the things I was going to ask you is that, you know, when kids are involved, do you feel that it's okay that the person that has the kids now talks about the process of the divorce, or shares with them so they can be more, you know, aware of what's going on? Or do you feel that it's something that, you know, you don't want to tell them at all?
Well, that really depends on the age of the kid.
Right.
You want to share what's developmentally appropriate. I think kids are really smart, and they often pick up on what we're not telling them, and sometimes that can create more anxiety. So I think telling them on a need-to-know basis, you know, certainly, you know, when the divorce is going to occur, what the plan is, to answer any questions that they might have, so that they're not holding any fears or uncertainties or anxieties that they're not talking about. But it wouldn't be appropriate to go into the nitty-gritty of the financial and the custody situation, especially if you and your former partner are not in agreement.
Yeah. What about when, like, I remember my children thought their father left because of me, and that was not the truth. So for a minute, I kind of let them believe it, but then I got angry, and I was like, it ain't my fault, it's his fault. So how do you handle something like that?
Oh, that is a really hard thing. I mean, I am a believer that the truth shakes out over time, and that, you know, kids are doing their best to make sense of a situation that doesn't make sense to them right away. And sometimes blame is part of that process, and I do think that oftentimes kids express anger at the partner with whom they have the more secure relationship with, because they're more confident that the person isn't going to go away. So I think, you know, again, going back to empathy and saying, you know, gosh, I know you're mad, I know you're upset, I know this is hard. But yeah, it is hard to defend yourself without throwing the other person under the bus. And there's definitely an art to being diplomatic in that process.
Joyce, what about the child who thinks the parents got the divorce because of them, that they always hear their parents arguing about, we don't have money and these too many children and blah, 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 blah. And then it ends up being a divorce, and they always have that in the back of their mind was, why did they get the divorce? Because I'm here, that they couldn't afford to take care of me. Or maybe I'm watching too many Lifetime movies, but this, seemed like a case that I've been seeing a lot, that the kids take the blame for a divorce.
Absolutely. And no, it's not too many Lifetime movies. That is a very common thing for kids to blame themselves, and it is very important. Thank you for reminding me of that, for us all to reassure the kids that in no way is this their fault. In no way could anything that they would have said or done, caused this, and that this is an issue between the two parents, and that both parents, love the children and, will continue to have relationships with them. Rather, the marriage is what's dissolving.
So Joyce, I know for me, and in our show, we're always really honest with each other about things, and I did say that I was, divorced, and it did take a toll on me. I want you to talk a little bit about, rejoining the, talking to someone else, as you will, rejoining the dating scene, because it was very difficult for me because I was hurt in that relationship. In a lot of cases, I didn't trust Brenda with a lot of things. And it took a while for me to have that trust again, because I was always concerned about, some things that she might do against me. And we talked a little bit about the kids will sometimes, they'll gravitate to the person that they're not going to leave. But when you don't have kids and you're about to go back out there, you don't have anyone to gravitate on. You're always concerned that that next person might leave. Help me out here on me not allowing my past to, destroy my future.
Well, I think that we're all shaped and molded to some extent by our past, whether it's by our families of origin or by our previous relationships. So your feelings were a normal response to everything that you've been through. So it's about, honoring those feelings and being aware of them and recognizing that they may be distorting, some of your perceptions about a new relationship, or that you're going into a relationship with some normal fears and anxieties. And that's where I do feel that counseling or therapy can be really helpful, because that's a place where you can get some support and some coaching around returning back to dating, which is challenging. It's challenging in terms of trusting other people, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, allowing yourself to be intimate and close to somebody else emotionally or maybe even physically. And that can be really anxiety provoking, and that's a normal, human experience. So I think just getting support from whether it's a counselor or friends who know and care and can advocate for you. And I think for each person, returning back to the dating scene is a different process. Some people jump right into it and it makes them feel better. Other people are very, very cautious, and everything in between.
I know it's a great lady by the name of Joyce. It's the CEO of a company. What is your company that people could go to?
Oh, you're so sweet, Brenda. I appreciate it. So my company's name is Urban Balance, and we are a counseling practice that has now 7 locations in the Chicagoland area. And we provide counseling for individuals, couples, and families. And our big thing is that we're insurance friendly. So we're in network with most insurance plans, because we aim to make counseling accessible and affordable. I think we all can use it at different points in our lives.
So, Joyce, what made you decide that you wanted to start something like this? I mean, it's a wonderful thing, but give us a little bit backstory about why did you, want to be, start Urban Balance?
Well, I love being a therapist. The work is really deeply meaningful to me. It's an honor to get to know people and to help them move forward in their life. Also a person, and I noticed that in the Chicagoland area, there's a lot of great therapists, but many of them do not accept insurance, and it's very expensive for most people, and it's not affordable or sustainable. So I felt like it made sense to accept insurance even if we are getting a lower rate per session, and it turns out that that's worked pretty well, because we get more referrals and people are able to stay in treatment longer and do the work that they want to do because it's a lot easier to pay, a $15 copay than it is to pay $150 out of pocket for a counseling session.
Yeah. That sounds great. I mean, now I know, I can send Brenda to him just in case she needs some counseling therapy.
He's going to be right with me, Joyce. Going to be couple counseling.
But, the thing that I do love, Joyce sounds like she's a person that you can easily talk to. You're very intelligent, and you're very calm and serene in how you talk to a person. So if I'm going through an issue where I need someone to talk to, what would you say that I should be looking for? Other than coming to you, which is the place that you go to, help somebody that might be, looking for some counseling, but they're afraid. Give them some ideas on what they should be looking for and why they should come for counseling help.
Thank you, Rick, for the compliments, first of all. I think we all can benefit from it, and, it doesn't mean that you're crazy or in crisis. It's a place where you can get support and tools and resources to help you move forward. And I think just looking for somebody who's licensed and credentialed and experienced. A lot of places like Urban Balance offer a free consultation to see if it's a good fit. The research says if you like your therapist, you're more likely to make progress. So it's really just to see if you feel comfortable and connected with them. It should be a safe place for you. You should feel like your therapist understands you, and you should feel like you are able to let them know if you're not making the progress that you want to make, or if you're not comfortable with any aspect of your treatment. You should feel comfortable letting them know and moving forward from there.
Amen.
That's so important. I think I had gone through so many therapists before I found one that I stayed with, and I think I stayed so long. She was like, "Come on, Tracy, if you just want to talk, call me on the phone," And she just moved to New Orleans, and I cried like a baby.
Well, so now you can go to Joyce, and you can have insurance pay for it. So now you've got another place.
Because I miss her.
Sure. It becomes a really important relationship.
Yeah. That's what she said.
And these are two people here that need some counseling.
I know. I get my tune-up, so I am an advocate for counseling.
But I'm going to tell you, one of the things I'll be, honest with is that a lot of times men, we kind of deflect from counseling because we think, it shows a weakness. And during the time that I was, depressed and something, I lost about 60 pounds in 2 months.
Yeah, I was gorgeous.
And,
wow.
People were thinking you had AIDS and stuff like that. I just wasn't eating, but I didn't, I didn't want to go talk to anybody because I just felt that it wasn't something that a man should do. Kind of debunk that myth for a man to realize that counseling is just as benefit for them as it is from anyone.
It is, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that, Rick. And I think a lot of guys don't recognize when they're experiencing some normal depression or anxiety, and things like sleep disturbance or appetite change, sometimes feeling more irritable or angry is actually a sign of depression rather than, tearfulness or crying. So sometimes men don't realize that. And I think for guys, I encourage them to think about it as coaching, or seeing a personal trainer. It's about problem solving and getting some new tools and some support and some perspective. And it is very positive and proactive. And more men are coming in for counseling. And I actually just was at a company of mostly men giving a workshop, and I was so proud to hear so many of them say that it's a sign of strength to seek help. And so my hope is that belief is shifting, and that, guys too are realizing the benefits of getting support.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I know we got off into the other part of the counseling with the business, because she have great staff at her company as well. So we know great company have produced great fruit as well. Now, I have to ask you this: life after divorce. I know, both of these people over here in the studio were saying it was hard, they was depressed and everything. Is it that hard to get back out there? You guys have trust issues with that? And I say you guys because the three of you been through the divorce, and it's like, Tracy, you were saying you had the trust issues. Rick, you still have lingering trust issues.
Well, mine aren't trust issues.
Thank you, Brenda.
You said it.
Yeah.
I said then, not now.
Yeah, mine aren't trust issues. Mine was fear of, well, I used to think it was fear of failing, and my counselor told me that I had already failed. So it helped me to realize that I was afraid of succeeding in a new relationship, and I'm still a little scared with that.
I think mine was just, trust. I wasn't afraid of trying to go out there and get into another relationship. I just didn't, I never wanted to have a divorce, and so I didn't want to get back in, because I love hard, you know that as well. Yeah. And I didn't want to get back into a relationship where I'm going to start loving someone hard and then it fails again. Right. So, it had to do a little bit about, being, afraid of being successful. But I just, Joyce, I dealt with the trust issue that, it's almost like, you hurt me once, you'll never do it again. Here goes the Great Wall of China stopping anyone from coming too close to me. And we get into that scenario sometimes, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It's normal to have those fears and those defense mechanisms. And myself as well, I feel like it's been a big challenge for confidence, to remember that I'm lovable, that I'm desirable, that I'm deserving of a loving, supportive relationship. And it's different, dating in your 40s than it is in your 20s. Yeah. And our lives are more complicated. And so it's definitely a challenging experience, I think, for one's self-esteem or confidence. And it can be very scary to allow yourself to trust and be vulnerable. But I'm a firm believer in love, and I have found love, I'm happy to say. And my ex-husband is in a wonderful relationship, and he's very happy, and our kids are doing well. And, not to say that there wasn't hard stuff too, and it's an enormous transition, but I'm a believer in love and growth and healing and welcoming abundance into our lives in that way.
One other question for you, Joyce. When a person gets divorced, we three probably what you go through. But when you're the person who does the leaving, have you gotten people to come? Okay, you know where I'm going. the person who does the leaving, I know there's probably some sort of guilt there with them, but how have you talked to anybody like that?
Yes, absolutely. There's often guilt associated with that, and people have struggled with, wrestling with whether or not to leave a marriage for many years. My ex-husband said, and then to finally address that can be just a very stressful experience, and definitely some guilt or anxiety, and dealing with other people's responses, and it can be very, very hard.
Yeah, and with the church.
Yeah, and it's the funny thing about it, and Joyce, we thank you for being on the radio show with us. We definitely will have you again, is that you get some people that sometimes are remorseful that they broke off, but then if that person that's divorced, they get remorseful because now they realize that the person that they left, the grass is not greener on the other side. And sometimes that happens as well. But Joyce, can you tell us once again about, yourself and the company that you're involved with and how people can get in contact with you?
Oh, that's so kind of you, Rick. Thank you. So again, my name is Joyce Marter, Marter. My company's name is Urban Balance, and our website is urbanbalance.com. And our phone number is 888-726-7170.
Well, you're not going to be a stranger. We're going to have you on the show again so you can talk about things that can help our audience. We thank you very much for your journalism and how you're caring for people in need.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Bye,
right,
Tracy, Brenda, and Rick. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I like, Joyce always, she just sounds so professional and is so easy to talk to. You want to have that person that when you first get on the phone with them, you feel you want to call them. They're able to answer the appropriate questions to make you want to contact them.
Yeah,
very
and she
soothing.
sounds like that. Yeah, definitely.
And so, hey, we're about to get ready to go to our commercial break. Thank you for listening. You've just heard from Making Marriage Work from Joyce Marter. talking about surviving divorce. We're going to come back with Reverend Rick McCain, Brenda McCain, and Tracy Brown Howard, and our boy Dion on Let's Stay Together Talk right after these commercial breaks.
This is Reverend Rick McCain. The Let's Stay Together talk show is a Christian show that seeks to bring the lost to Christ through discussing relationships that can be taboo to the church. Within these conversations, we seek to bring you into a closer relationship with Christ, where our desire is to teach and tell you that God loves you and will never leave you nor forsake you. If you have never accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you can do that now by repeating these words. Jesus, I believe that you died for my sins, and that by acknowledging that you are God's chosen vessel that died on the cross for the remission of sins, my sins are forgiven. Tonight, I accept you as my Lord and Savior, and I will live my life according to your will. By saying these words, you are now a child of God. It may not seem or feel like anything has changed, but you have now just transformed the eternity of your life. The Spirit of God is now a part of you and will lead you in the ways of the Lord. Your next step should be to find a church with a solid foundation of teaching God's Word, where you can learn more about this new life with Christ from other Christians. Welcome to the family of believers, and remember, God loves you, and so does the Let's Stay Together talk show.
Welcome back to the Let's Stay Together talk show. Now here is your host, Reverend Rick McCain and author Brenda McCain.
All right, welcome back to Let's Stay Together Talk. Thank you for joining us as we've been talking about the next stop with Reverend Powell and Making Marriage Work with Joyce Martyr from Urban Balance. We're about to get ready to go on with our show with some great things we're going to do, and we're going to start off with leaving in the car.
Hey, baby, I want to tell you I'm going to take about $1,000 out of the savings account.
What do you need to check $1,000 out for?
Why do you need to know why I'm taking the money out? It's my savings account, too.
True, but it would be nice to know what you need it for.
Why do I have to tell you why I'm taking the money out? You should just trust me.
Yeah, Rick, I trust you, but with the large amount of money you're taking out of our account, it would be good to know what you're using it for.
I really don't believe it's none of your business why I'm taking it out, but I'm going to pay it back anyway, so...
Rick, it is a joint account. If something is being taken out, I should know.
Yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, I got to tell you that I got to pay some parking tickets from 1995.
What? Parking tickets from 21 years ago?
Yeah, I can't stand the city. They came after me from tickets from 1995.
Well, baby, let's just leave it in a car.
I understand. Thank you for understanding too, baby.
No problem, but just make sure you put that money down, please.
Okay.
All right. So that was Leave It in the Car, and we're talking about the understanding of joint finances and that we should be able to share why somebody is using money for any reason, even if it's joint or separated accounts, why you should share that. So we're going to go around the room again. We're going to start with Dion. Dion, is that true story or Memorex?
Yes.
Yes, so Dion say it's true. Tracy, what is it, true or Memorex?
Yes.
Okay, and Brenda already knows that is a true story. I can't stand the city of Chicago. I hope they hear me. Yes. I can't stand them coming after me for some tickets from 1995. What's wrong with y'all? Could they have at least gone to Prince in 1999? I would have felt a little bit better. But, we're talking about that, and it's just, learning how that if you're going to take some money out from an account, you should be able to share with the individual why you're taking out. And I was being like very, angry about the fact that she didn't trust me. So what do you have to say about that?
I think you should be trustworthy with each other, but with that large amount, it's not like you took $100 out or less and you just, went to go do something. But in this case, that's almost $2,000. That's $1,600, and it's like I don't have the right to know what you're about to do with that. I think you should be forthcoming and share up for, hey, babe, I'm about to take this out because, not get defensive because you made it the city, but be forthcoming and say, you know what, this is a joint account, and even though you had all your reasons, it's like, it's my money, blah, 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 it should be a one-on-one thing. When it's a limit, the couple should have an amount limit, like if it's $500 or more, please let the other person know out of respect for that person.
Okay, where did $1,600 come from? This thing was $1,000. I'm like, you did put like $600 more onto the thing.
Well, I showed
Jesus, are you working for the city?
Back pay.
I'm like, my God, I made it at least $1,000 to make it big.
$1,000.
She added on taxes for the city on me.
Yeah, if it's 100 or something, or even 100, I think it's just common courtesy and respect for your partner. You should let them know.
And I agree. If you have a relationship like that, you should, share. A lot of times people think that, it's my money. I should be able to do what I want to, which is true. But now it's not an I. You're joined together. And so you should be able to and why you're taking something out. I would even, say, Brenda, that even if it's $100, sometimes a person will take out 100 and 100 and starts dropping, like it'll get to 1,000. If you're taking something out of the savings, that means you don't have the money in your checking account to take care of it. And once you start taking from what you're saving from or saving for, then you should allow that person to know. Tracy, as you're playing over with your new computer over there, laptop, what you got to say?
And I've only had a joint account once when I was married, and we never had enough money to have anything left over.
Yeah.
But it was, I remember whenever I wanted to write a check, I would always have to ask him because he held onto the checkbook all the time. So I kind of agree when it's a joint checking account, you should let each other know what you're doing with it.
Yeah. I'd even say for a separate joint account, because I've had an argument with one guy talking about if you're married, you shouldn't have a separate account. You should be all joint. But my thing is that if it's something that you agree on, if you want to have a separate account and she want to have a separate account and you agree, then why should I tell you no, what you agreed on is wrong?
Right. I don't believe that you should have secret accounts.
Right. Secret accounts,
from each other. But I do now believe, because in my marriage, we only had joint accounts.
Yeah.
And I was really sorry later. So I think that if I were to be married again, that I would have a joint account, but I would also keep my own separate, publicly known account.
Yeah. And that's, to each his own. But if you're taking something from an account, you want to let that individual know, because it's not that, they don't trust you. It's you, having a trust factor with each other. If that's something that you're going to take out of that account, you want to let that person know. And in this situation, the guy told her, but he didn't want to tell why. I don't think that I should have to tell you why. You have to remember, you're in a covenant relationship. You're married. So there are no secrets. Like me and Brenda. Brenda can go on my phone. She can go on my computer. There's nothing I had from her. There's nothing that she can't go see. There's no secret departments anywhere. Everything is open for her to come on or look at. And so if you have a scenario like that, you remove the burden of secrecy or the fear of secrecy, because that person knows that they can look at everything. Well, that should be the same thing with money. You don't have something secretly, especially the women, because y'all be having secret little accounts somewhere sometimes where the man don't know something about the account. And so all of a sudden now she like, I got like $10,000 set up just in case, I know I done lost some of the women right now. Y'all done became atheists in the show. But, if you want to be able to tell somebody that you have some money set aside just for a situation like that, then, y'all can't see the faces. Y'all can't see their faces. But if you could see these two women faces over here, you know that they got something secret account somewhere.
Yes. And unmarried, I actually do have a secret account. It's not a secret anymore, but I do now.
And Brenda ain't gonna she ain't gonna say nothing like
But you know what I have a problem with is the just in case account. You know, that's saying that I don't think this marriage is gonna work. So just in case, I'm gonna have an
explain
account.
to me the difference between a secret account and a just in case account.
Well, I mean, no. I'm agreeing with you that it shouldn't be secret. But see, if I were to have a separate account, I would want that separate account because I hated the fact that whenever I bought my ex-husband a gift, I had to get it out of our account.
Yeah.
Or if I wanted to surprise him or do something.
Okay.
Or just do something personally for me. I hated the fact that he would know every move I make. Not that I wanted to hide it from him, but sometimes you just want to surprise somebody.
That makes sense.
Or buy a gift,
Yeah.
you know,
I
for
always
them.
thought in a marriage, just me personally thinking that if you're working and he's working, it's great to have your own individual account. But to have a joint account as well, and you two set the amount that you contribute to that account bi-weekly or monthly or whatever. So when it comes to that time that you want to buy that gift or something for it, comes out of your own personal account. You know, so
Right.
that's what I said. Each person have a account and a half. You have your own individual and
Right.
you had that joint. And some people, you know, like you said in your marriage, you guys never had that. You always had the joint account. It's like, wow, so you putting the whole pot of your check right into
We
that.
were poor, Brenda.
Yeah, but what if
we were poor?
the way you think the person that you with doesn't agree?
Well, y'all need to pray on that and try to get on the same accord for it.
Yeah. So basically, what we're just saying is that if you're going to be borrowing something, this topic is basically about you knowing that you have a joint savings account, and the person is taking some money out and doesn't want to tell you why. If you're in a relationship with each other, the trust factor says you should always allow the individual that's a part of your life to know why you're using the money and when you're going to take it out. And so that was what Leave It in the Car was talking about today. Hey, baby, we've been having some great relationship letters. They have been awesome. What do we got today?
This is another great one, but this one is totally different.
Okay.
Dear LSTT, some might call me nosy. I just say I am inquisitive. I am a very good neighbor, and I love my neighbors on my block. I have noticed something that has been disturbing me for months on my block, to be exact, for the past 4 months. I'm not trying to be up in my neighbor's business, but some strange activity has been going on with the house 2 doors down from me. A young couple moved in 2 years ago. I usually see them at the village hall meetings and the wife periodically at the grocery store here and there. Her husband travels a lot with his job. He's basically a weekend husband. However, I have noticed her being very friendly with my other neighbor's husband. This couple has been a beacon in our community, and I would hate to see anything developing between the two of them. But every time I turn around, I see him over at her house. His wife works the second shift, so she's not at home in the early evening when I see him. Neither couple has children, but what I do know for certain is his wife loves him dearly, and I would hate to see their relationship crumble. My question to you is, should I say something to either one of them? Sincerely, I'm not trying to mind my business.
I'm not trying to mind my business. I like that. Hey, Tracy, I'm gonna let you go first. I'm crazy with my answers.
Well, actually, shockingly, I'm going to say this time, mind your business. Because she didn't, and correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't hear her say they are my friends.
Oh, she didn't put that in there, but she just said her neighbor.
Right, her neighbors.
And she said she's a very good neighbor.
Well, that's fine. Make sure don't nobody burglarize their house and, don't nothing bad happen. But I don't really think it's her business because you really don't know what the situation is. I have a cousin who lives down the street from me, and I could be at his house all day and every day. The neighbors don't necessarily know we're cousins. So it could be something as simple as that. I'm sure it's not, but I don't really think it's her business.
She does sound like an older lady, too.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm just assuming, but I don't really think it's her business. Now, if she had said my friend, then I would say, okay, girl, get in the business.
Oh.
Okay, here's my thing. Who's making love with your old lady while you are out making love?
Might
So
be
now,
reading the Bible.
but you got to see a person noticing that the community. I think they said that the husband was the pillar of the community.
The couple.
The couple
yeah,
is,
the couple.
but the woman is stepping out maybe a little bit. Is that what it was?
No. The couple is a beacon in a community.
Yeah.
The new couple, the husband is traveling while working, and the wife is at home with the beacon man. Oh,
okay. So like the one of the beacon man couple that's on the block.
That's what it might appear.
to be
right.
because she a lot of times when the wife is not there.
The other way around, when the husband
is not there.
Okay, I'm sorry. So is not there, and so wait a minute now. So the woman is the one that's fooling around.
At that time?
No, but so I'm confused right now. So the Beacon family,
y'all the Beacon family.
Okay. And
I'm a sleep man.
Okay.
Okay. Right. You
Beacon family, we're
right.
here. Your
my
husband is the
goes
one.
My husband.
Right.
So that means that y'all done lost me even more. So
it don't matter. They all fooling
out
around.
of the Beacon family, who's fooling? So
Right.
she's working,
right?
And so she's over there all the time, which is I think what I said.
No, he's over her house.
Okay, which I think I said
right,
something.
because my husband gone.
So he's at her house all the time doing what they would call, unchristian conduct.
Probably so.
It doesn't look right. Let me. It doesn't look
true.
right when you're over another man's house. There's a code of conduct that most men say don't come over my house
and women
if I am not there. And so now he's over there. Now here's the other thing. He's over there when the man is not home, and he only goes over there when his wife is not there. Might be something going on. You're rolling your eyes, but his wife is not there.
You just lost me with that.
No,
he right. I got you.
So I'm saying his wife is not home when he's going over to see the other woman.
Okay,
either.
talking about the Beacon man.
So now we call him the Beacon man. The Beacon man. So it doesn't look right. Now, can it be a situation where it's just an honest scenario? Yeah, but it doesn't look that way, and so. I know that, the whole thing is that should she say anything, and I'm going to have to be an agreement with Tracy on this and say, I don't think that she should get involved in it because it's really not your concern. I mean, my question would be, why are you telling them?
Because she ain't got no man. No,
I'm
just kidding.
Why are you?
Well, she's an old bird.
Why,
no man.
Why are you doing this? I mean, if it's something if you can do something to help the scenario, I would say instead of telling the wife of the husband who's fooling around or the wife that's fooling around, and if you want to, talk at the house.
That's the way
Yeah.
how she wrote this letter. It was my question to you, should I say something to either one of them? I was under the assumption she was talking about the Beacon husband and the new wife that's on the block, not their spouses.
Right.
I'm assuming I'm not trying to mind my business and want to go to them.
And it might be. Now, if it's something that you feel that, hey, you guys, this is not looking right, what you're doing. But my question is always, again, what is your motive? If you're trying to save a relationship by letting someone know that what they're doing is inappropriate, then I would say, pray about it and go in a very nice way of saying, hey, you're a very, as we call them, beacon of the community. And, now you're just not looking right, because there's a good chance that she sees that someone else is seeing it too. And
right.
So, you don't want that relationship, to people to look bad on those relationships because of it. But I would say that, if it's something that you're doing to benefit the covenant of marriage, so those two people will know that what they're doing is wrong, I would say, pray about it and find a way to talk to them. But if your motive is just, I see you're doing something wrong, then I would say no.
But my thing is, why do she care?
It's a lot of stuff that was left out of
I
this.
mean, why do you care?
But I don't know, for some reason, if the appearances be deceiving, like you did mention, Tracy, your cousin live on your block. Some people don't might know that.
Right.
But in the case of this, I think she's holding the Beacon guy to a higher standard, because if he's a pillar in a community, it's like, wow, you know, look, a hypocrite this way.
Yeah.
But then when your wife is at work and her husband is out of town, you creeping on over to her house. And it's like, why? It's like you guys have children involved or anything. But whatever the case may be, I'm not trying to mind my business. In case you might need to mind your business, because we are going off of the letter that you sent us. If it was some more details, then maybe we could direct that or address that differently.
Yeah.
But right now, just be that peeping Tom and keep your mouth
I say stop peeping and mind your business. I had to agree with the man a bit, but stop peeping too. This is not,
Right.
this is not
Get
a reality
cable,
show.
man.
Yeah, something. All right, so that's the relationship letter. Another good one, baby. Writing us these wonderful letters. These are just excellent, and we really enjoy. You keep on sending them out. If you want to send letters to the relationship relationship letters, send it to Let's Stay Together Talk at Gmail. Baby, what we going to now in our last segment?
Motivational Mojo.
DJ, do your thing.
If you're hearing this music, that means it's time for Motivation Show. Listen right now as Brenda McCain will give you the Motivational Mojo of the day. You can win movie tickets. Go to Facebook or our website. Now, Brenda McCain will tell you more about today's Motivation Mojo.
What motivates you to give? Let's talk about volunteering and giving back. Whether you donate clothes, money, or your time, giving back is beneficial, and not just for the recipients. You know the old adage, it's better to give than receive. It's true after all. Giving others your time brings interesting and challenging opportunities that might not come along otherwise, while helping others make you feel good about yourself because you're doing something for someone that couldn't do it for themselves. Once you see the difference you can make in another person's life, problems smaller and more manageable. Besides feeling good about yourself for doing something for others, giving back is also good for your physical health. Yes, doing for others may stimulate the release of endorphins, which has been linked to improved nervous and immune system functions. So, what motivates you to give back? Is it your skills to your community? Make a social connection. Boost your self-esteem. Whatever you're posted on Facebook, and you might be able to win movie tickets, but you must listen to win.
I've been listening to Motivation Mojo. To win tickets, Facebook us now at Let's Stay Together Talk and tell us what motivates you. We will announce the winner at the end of the show.
Well, so my question to the people here tonight, Tracy and Rick, what motivates you to give back with all of those things? Because I love developing my skills. I love meeting people. And you know what? The least thing is to boost my self-esteem. It's helping others. That's what motivates me to do it.
Yeah, definitely not boosting me. I mean, it's just the feeling, of helping somebody else. And meeting new people has become a new part of it, but just to give back.
Just to give back?
Yeah, and meeting other people. But like you said, everything but boosting your ego.
So the question was, what gets you to motivate others?
What motivates you to give back? The skills, give back to your social connections, or boost self-esteem?
I think the thing that makes me give back, other than, that, of course, I'm going to say, Christ says that we should give, so that's one of the reasons why I give. But I think it's just, I've been brought up that way to give. My family brought me up that way to give. I was a part of a WSO, West Side Organization. Some think there was like a Black Panthers organization, but they were so nice with giving to the young African American men. My first glove, they bought our uniforms. They
you
provided.
Have to say what the glove was for.
Baseball glove. Thank you, baby. My first baseball glove. She's like, don't make it a glove for stealing this. I was always trained, the Bible says, train up a child the way he should go. And always trained to do, things that way. And so it was just easier for me to want to give back to people, be involved in, in inspiring people. And that's how, getting involved in ministry, you always want to be able to share and give back to people. So it's always been, to help others, to play it forward, to give somebody something where it benefits them in the long run, not necessarily that I can feel benefited or someone can say, hey, Rick did this or Rick did that, but because, silently there's somebody out there that's doing something better just because I gave.
Okay. Everybody have their great reasons, and I hope other people learn to volunteer, though, because a lot of people are.
And so what you got to do now is that you got to go on our Facebook page. We're giving away movie tickets. So if you go on, what's that thing again? You said I'm getting old. I forget. What is it again?
Motivational Mojo.
Yeah. What's the question?
The question is.
She's forgetting too. I see.
Yeah, I am because I put it away. No, the question is, what motivates you to give back?
So the question is, what motivates you to give back? So if you have a Facebook page and tell us what motivates you to give back, we'll give you tickets out. We had some people go to Zanies recently, so we thank them for doing that. We thank Zanies for the tickets, and we've got people that are going all around the United States. We've sent out locations, so we're really excited about that. And, baby, so what we got going on next week?
Next week we have words of encouragement, which we really need in relationship, marriages, and just out here, jobs, everything. Words of encouragement. Now, the McCain train has pulled into our lap, and we would like to say thank you to our guest, Reverend Gregory Powell of New Faith Baptist Church International, and Joyce Martyr of
Urban Balance.
Urban Balance. We love her, and we're going to have another one of the Urban Balance. They produce great fruit. We also have Tracy Howard, our social media specialist, and our producer, Dion Walker, for hanging out with us again on the McCain train.
Hey,
so join us next week.
Yeah, so join us next week. We want to again say, give our condolences to the family of Doug Banks. Doug, we love you. Thank you for all done for TV, radio, and brightening our soul and our heart. This is Reverend Rick McCain, along with Brenda McCain and Tracy Brown Howard and Dick, my boy. We'll be right back next week, 6 p.m. Together Talk. See you real soon. Woo-hoo!
The many services it provides, whether it's social media, video production, radio broadcasting, or audio recording, we got you covered.